Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence, this is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report. It is Tuesday the 9th of March. Dom Knight and Charles Firth back with you, along with, drumroll please, Mr. Mark Humphries is back on the pod.
Hello.
Hello.
How do you do?
And I wrote a press release, Mark, this morning for our upcoming War on 2022 live show tour. And I sent it through to James, who's also performing it, James Schleffel from The Shovel. And he went, this press release is great, except you've left Mark Humphries out of it. Or is that some sort of clever trick?
Well, we've worked out that Mark is actually decreasing ticket sales, but we're contractually obliged to use him.
Yeah.
So we won't tell the audience. And then just treat my sections as an extended walk-on.
Yeah, and just apologise each time. Now, unfortunately, Mark Humphries now joins us.
Yeah, great. The War on 2022 apology tour.
It's because Gabby Bolt is joining us this year.
Is she?
On tour. Yes.
Oh, lovely.
So the whole press release is about how great she is. The number of awards she's won this year for like best newcomer and best this and best that takes up an entire press release.
I bet.
There's no room for you.
No,
anymore.
exactly. I need to up my game. Can I mention some tennis trophies I won as a child? That's really all I've got.
You'd be good at tennis. You're tall.
Yeah, well,
No. We've got a story about it.
Look, here we go. I am good at tennis.
No.
And
Just a second. Let's just throw to the ads that some people pay not to get at chaser.com.au/podcast. And some of those people get them anyway, but we're still working on that. Trust us. Anyway, here they are.
The Chaser Report. News you know you can't trust.
All right, that said, now tennis and Mark Humphries. Now, that's right. The two of you played tennis with celebrities. You're so connected and famous. I'm just going to sit back and be impressed by your connections.
Yes. So Charles and I occasionally play with, well, we won't say his name, but it's a P. Fitzsimons or a Peter F. We'll say Peter F.
A random one-time bandana wearing pirate of a man.
And just because this will make the anecdote sort of easier to understand. What you got to understand about P. Fitzsimons is that he is an absolute asshole, right? So go on, Mark.
On the tennis court, you mean? You mean like off the tennis court? Lovely, a respected journalist, beloved by Sydney-siders. But on the court, because I've played tip footy with him.
Right.
And many years ago with him and Andrew Denton.
Is he an asshole?
He was a bit competitive for a man who weighed as much as two Andrew Dentons put together.
Yeah, because you used to go into the locker room, like the gym, school gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of those jocks. We used to have at our school jocks.
He would have put you in like a rubbish bin.
Horrible people who...
Because he's huge. I mean, he's a hulking beast of a man.
He is a big man.
Intellectually... but also physically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Charles is trying to get out of the regular rotation with this appearance. But so Peter, yes, we occasionally play with Peter, and I am a good tennis player. I captained my school. Just wait. Don't let evidence that you've witnessed. I captained my team in a school team.
Really?
In high school. Yeah. All right, Charles.
Where did you go to? The sort of the physically challenged school for the bad at tennis?
Yes, I love watching you work out how to make that joke without cancelling yourself.
Actually, watching his braid churn then was quite interesting. Even physically challenged was a little bit problematic.
That's it. So, but then anyway, I was about 16. I dislocated my knee, and that ended my promising.
So your problem is your knee, is
It's
it?
a bad knee, exactly.
Right.
That explains my terrible serve. So anyway, but as it happens, since playing on Peter's court...
Because he has his own court, I think it's important to note
please,
here.
I mean, come on.
They're not meeting at a council court with
No.
Peter Fitzsimons. The mansion has a tennis court, I believe.
Because the thing is...
I've never been invited.
He's married to Lisa Wilkinson, right? So they're both fabulously successful people.
They are.
So their grounds, their mansion
They've got grounds.
They've got ground. They've got tennis courts. They've got everything.
That's it. Well, we were playing on centre court.
And if you're listening, thinking what a wank this is, I'm in your. I'm here as the ordinary listener. Right? Okay, this isn't me. This is Charles and Mark.
It's just it's just.
You go over to the Fitzsimons Wilkinson Manor.
I think this is very relatable.
You play tennis on centre court, and
I get so nervous Peter, because of Peter's personality,
personality.
No,
because if you let him down, are you his doubles partner?
well, that's like he often puts me as his partner, and so I don't want to let him down.
And he thought because you were the tallest,
Yeah, exactly.
that because Peter's the kind of guy who you'd have 4 people, and he'd go, "Well, I'm the best, so I'm going to put the second best in my team."
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
that's how he would approach. I imagine just knowing Fitz a little bit, not on mansion visiting terms, but I've met him.
But this, but when when it's my turn to serve. Now, this is a very Mark Humphries reference here, but I become like Hyacinth Bucket's neighbour Elizabeth whenever Hyacinth comes around, and she can't control holding the cup of coffee. I don't know, a cup of tea. She's got you know what I'm talking about?
I think it's pronounced bouquet, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. But when keeping up appearances references for all the young Chaser fans. Anyway, and so I get very nervous with the serve, and I can't do it. I've just lost my.
You get the yips.
Yeah, I've lost my service game.
You get the Fitz yips.
Yeah, that's right. At the Fitzsimons residence, I lose. And actually, I mean, this is
Well, the last time we played, didn't he get you to do it under?
well. He's trying to he's trying to come up with other strategies for me. But it's just like the problem is it's just who's physically on the court with me.
Okay, so there's the 3 of you, but I've heard a story about who the 4th person is.
Yeah.
And I would think that the 4th person, as I understand it, would even things up a bit by not being dissimilar in a sporting context to Peter Fitzsimons.
No, it's Craig.
Craig is one of the most competitive people I've ever seen on a sporting. Surely the two of them cancel each other out, don't they? Or was Craig mellowed?
Yeah, no, he's good. No, you're right.
I remember
good.
playing tennis with Craig and his brother, and it being similar.
I mean,
whichever one I was partnering with regularly swore at me if I hit the ball into the net.
The thing about Craig's brother is he grew up with Craig.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah, and Craig, especially, used to be an absolute arsehole on the level of a sort of Peter Fitzsimons thing, right?
So the two of you are the more, I can't believe I'm saying this, are the more normal and humble members of the quartet.
No, but the thing that I used to do to Garth, which is Craig's brother, is I used to pretend that I was, like an arsehole.
You used to channel that.
I would channel Craig, and I'd actually say, that was good serve, but it wasn't quite as good as Craig, right? Because I knew he had a thing about his brother. And
can't believe we're putting this on the podcast.
His game would crumble Mark Humphries style. And I even though he was vastly superior at tennis to me, I would always win.
Does Mark need to then channel a bit of Fitz? Do you need to maybe put the bandana on, metaphorically speaking?
I want to see you be an asshole.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
But what made me laugh was that there was one day where Fitz messaged me and said, tennis this afternoon, can you make it? And I either couldn't or wouldn't because of my most recent experiences with the service game. And I was so glad that I didn't, because when I later saw a photo of who I would have been playing against, it was Todd Woodbridge. Like, what is this? But also it says something about Fitz, the idea of just like, I can play against Todd Woodbridge.
The annoying thing is he probably could. Because he probably would have, like, within seconds of Woodbridge getting on. This is the man who's won many, many Grand Slams for the younger listeners, right? He's one of the best doubles players of all time. With Fitz, I presume if 30 seconds later he'd just be, foot faulting every
that's
serve.
Right. I think that's right.
Fitz has an extraordinary serve. Like when he's concentrating, it's sort of unplayable.
It's nasty. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
He's won 16 Grand Slams, and Fitz is like, okay, you can go.
But the Prime Minister has played there. I haven't.
How has this not been televised?
Yeah, I know exactly.
I would have
this
thought
is like
that'd
the
be
Legends circuit, all in Mossman.
The Chaser Report. Now with extra whispers.
I just feel that there comes a certain level of fame where you just lose awareness of how these kinds of stories come over. I'm not saying you guys are at that point. I'm just saying it's worth bearing.
But I think this is like a poor man's Kyle and Jackie O.
Yes, that's true.
But
descriptions of tennis with the stars.
Yeah. But as I was saying to Steve Liebman,
should we make this the paying episode? I don't know. I don't know if we should release this publicly into the wild. Right. So what's the point of the story? Do you need a little bit of?
Well, I actually this is embarrassing, but I'll own up to it. I was so affected by the torment of that experience that there was one game where I actually went and I had a tennis lesson before I went to Fitz's house. I actually went and I said to the tennis coach, I just wanted to do my serve. Can we just work on my serve for an hour? So I paid $100 or whatever it was before going to Fitz's house, just so I was psychologically prepared.
And did it help?
A little bit, not hugely, but
what you needed is a sports psychologist.
Yeah,
Mark.
Yes,
It's not about your serve. It's about
the feelings I have about Peter Fitzsimons.
What you need to do is get
disappointed.
some cutouts of Peter Fitzsimons and place them in the corners of the service box and just practice hitting again and again and again, knocking them over.
But also
with a fast serve.
Yeah, but also, like, I think you need to get some cardboard cutouts and place them around your house. It's sort of exposure therapy.
Yeah.
So you stop being so...
Well, you know what else you could do that would actually help? You could go to any city other than Sydney in the world where Peter Fitzsimons is not really that big of a deal. With all due respect to the man, like in Melbourne... Like he's probably the Eddie Maguire, closest thing we got to Eddie Maguire in Sydney. But in Melbourne, they would barely know who he was. He's a former Wallaby, right?
Sure.
He wouldn't be recognised in the streets in Chapel Street.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll go into hiding for a while in Melbourne. And
Go and play him in a court in Melbourne. Things might be a bit different. That's your town. People know Mark Humphries in Melbourne.
Sure, please. So yes. Anyway, that's my Peter Fitzsimons story, and he puts the fear of God into me. And the thing is now, and he'll tell people now. I was at a Bastille. No, this is again out of touch. I was at a Bastille Day event with Peter Fitzsimons, and he introduces me to people now. This is Mark Humphries. Terrible service game.
But isn't Peter likely to become the first president of Australia? Because that's why he's he's the head of the Australian Republican movement.
Is that why we don't have a republic yet?
Yeah.
He's terrified. Everyone else in the team would be having problems with their work, wouldn't they? Wouldn't they be traumatized? Should we get him on the phone?
Yes, I think let's do that. I think he's probably writing 7 books at the moment, though. He's very busy. So. He's got a deadline of 30,000 words today, but plus a daily column, and I don't know.
How does he do it?
I don't know.
Well, there were the books I know. He did a team of researchers. He
true.
talks about it. It's very impressive. Yeah. But the thing I love about Peter Fitzsimons, the thing that I enjoy most of all, and this happened before I started working at the radio station in the ABC in Sydney, is that year before, he and Richard Glover set the world record for the longest interview, and it went for 24 hours, 24 straight hours in a box in the foyer of the ABC. And I just think, what a perfect choice of subject.
Glover only asked 2 questions.
Yeah, that's right. You've basically got an hour per book, and then probably another 10 hours on the Wallabies or whatever. But he wouldn't have needed to say anything. If he did that today, probably 3 hours of it would be about your serve.
Is that available as a podcast? Is that?
That's a very good question. I should request that, shouldn't I?
That's Australia's Frost Nixon, isn't it? That's like this iconic meeting of minds. Speaking of which, that was actually brought up at there was a celebration for the ABC's 90th. There was another celebration for the ABC's 90th anniversary.
There's been a few.
Yeah, that's right. And there was a sort of a dinner hosted by Ita Buttrose, and the Prime Minister was in attendance. But that was mentioned as one of, I think it might have even been in Albanese's speech, the reference to one of the iconic.
That's why I thought of it. I read
ABC.
a transcript and it reminded me that this incredibly self-indulgent thing had happened. A 24-hour interview.
Is it that much of an achievement to interview someone for 24 hours?
It seemed like it then. Do you know why?
Why?
Because that was before podcasts.
Right.
Whereas now, every Joe Rogan is 3 hours long. Like, Joe Rogan could easily do 24 hours.
But also, like, every Chaser Report podcast, I know we only go for about 20 minutes, but it feels like 24 hours.
Well, should we break the record?
Yeah, I think we
Let's
should.
see what the record is.
Mark,
now.
you've got the next 24 hours free, don't
I think
you?
so, clearly. I just spent 24 hours on a Sydney train just trying to get in here. Signal failure at Milson's Point, Turramurra to Central took me 2 hours. I'm not happy about it. Anyway, 24-hour, Chaser broadcast. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, so go on. What books have you read recently, Mark?
Well, we're going to talk about the Midwinter Ball.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, should we do that? How many minutes have we got here, Dom?
So just a quick update. The Glover Fitzsimons record has been broken by Barnabakta Niruola and Ang Finja Sherpa in Nepal. 25 hours and 26 minutes is all that they managed. So not much longer.
But they did it at altitude.
That's true. They did it at altitude. So we've been going for 15 minutes. So I guess it's 23 hours, 45 minutes to go.
Sure. But what if 15 minutes? I mean, can you imagine what the rest of it would be?
Do we have to do it today?
Because we haven't prepped.
No, we also need to write like 10 books each in order to achieve the record.
That's right.
Aggies from Road. We're part of the Acast Creator Network. We'll catch you next time. This has been a short one.
See ya.
Ironically, given that we talked about the longest interview in history.
Goodbye.